Hello, friends. Welcome to ThinkerViews podcasts, where we share our book reviews with. Historical fiction is a well-loved genre of books. As we stop and look back on times and lives gone by, and try to understand people who may be removed from us in time, but not so much in how life progresses. Hamnet and Hamlet were the same name in the late 16th and early 17th century. And it is believed that Shakespeare wrote the play Hamlet 4 years after his son Hamnet died at the age of 11. Author Maggie O'Farrell has taken a very well-known name here and built the lives of his family, focusing on the period of 1583 to 1596. To give us a book titled Hamnet. Like a lot of other readers, we also like historical fiction, and so this critically acclaimed book was very appealing. So here are our views on this book on behalf of Team ThinkerViews. Let us take a look at the cover page of this book. The cover page of this small paperback version has a vintage look and feel. The color scheme features blue background with the book title in white. Filigree of creatures and elements in light yellow, and blossoms in orange, including the author's name. The cover page also showcases the prizes and acclaim this book has gained, marking its popularity with the readers. Overall, I found the cover page will attract browsers and fans of the author looking for an entertaining read. Let's have a look at the storyline. An 11-year-old boy is coming down the stairs, looking for the adults in his life. His twin sister is not feeling well, and so Hamnet looks around for his mother Agnes, his elder sister Susanna, his grandmother Mary, but instead finds his ill-tempered grandfather John and ends up receiving a blow to the face. He runs to the physician, but the doctor is away, and so he comes back to his twin sister Judith, feeling helpless. In the background, we meet their parents, Agnes, who has grown without a mother, feeling the ill treatment of her stepmother, with stories about her lost mother being a child of the forest. As a grown woman, she has a reputation herself of being able to make predictions, being fond of the forest and the beasts, growing herbs to provide medicines, and taming bees to produce honey. She keeps a falcon, and this is how the father first sees her, coming out of the forest with a hooded kestrel on her arm. He is younger than her, the Latin tutor who comes to her house to teach her younger stepbrothers. The pair are drawn to each other and, in spite of family protests, manage to get married once Agnes is carrying their first child. They make their home in a small apartment next to the family home. But the father is restless. He struggles to find his trade in the small town of Stratford, and by the time the twins are on the way, Agnes can see how he will need to go to London. They are hoping for the family to live together in London as soon as they can. But when the twins are born, that changes. While the boy is healthy, the girl is fragile. And as she grows, it becomes harder for the parents to see how she could survive in London. And so a long period of separation begins. And now the twins are 11 years old, and a severe illness is on their doorstep. As the day progresses, the household returns. But it is some time before Agnes is back and looking for the twins. And then the women of the household come together, devoting themselves to the care of the girl who has caught the much feared, nearly incurable plague. But as the twins have tried to take each other's place to pull tricks on the world around them all their lives, Hamnet decides to do it once more, take his sister's place in eyes of the dead. And what will this do to the family, the grieving parents, remaining children? And how will this tragedy translate to one of the best-known plays in the world? These are the answers to be found by reading the book. And now on to our thoughts and views and review of the book. Author Maggie O'Farrell's writing is what makes this book an emotional and evocative read. She writes with a flair for the language and storytelling that shines throughout the book. Although from the name of the book it might appear to be a tale of the child named Hamnet, or his famous father Shakespeare, who looms large with his play in the background, it is a story of a lot more. It is a story of a family, of strangers coming together to form the closest of bonds and create a long-lasting legacy through their creations. The author writes in present tense, building pictures, bringing her characters to life, bringing forth their world, and taking the reader with her in the story as it flows. For ease of reading, the author uses modern English rather than the English of that era, which can be seen in the works of Shakespeare. As she has mentioned in the historical note at the end, she has changed some names to make the narrative less confusing for the reader. The book never mentions William Shakespeare by name, leaving that to the reader's imagination and deductions. Instead, the stage is occupied with his family, his abusive, quick-to-anger father, his mother, his sister Eliza, his brothers, and his lovely wife Agnes. The readers are bound to make connection regarding what inspired various works by Shakespeare, including his twin children, his wife's reputation for borderline witchcraft, the comic and tragic elements of village life, and tradesmen, and so on. The author makes nature the part of story just as much as humans. Through Agnes's mother, she talks about forests, our relationships with forests, the fear of the village, and with city dwellers when it came to untamed forests, in the stories and legends human weave around those who are seen as different. I love descriptions of natural landscapes as well as our reactions to it. And what a forest it was, dense, verdant, crazily cross-stitched with brambles and ivy, the trees so closely packed that there were whole swaths that received no night at all. There were creatures in there who resembled humans, wood dwellers, they were called, who walked and talked, but had never set foot outside the forest, had lived all their lives in its leafish light, its encircling branches, its wet and tangled interior. People who needed to go through the forest would stop to pray. There was an altar, a cross where you could pause and put your safety in the hands of the Lord. For some it was the darker powers. All around the fringes of the forest there were shrines, where people tied shreds of their clothing to branches, left cups of ale, loaves of bread, scraps of crackling, strings of bright beads, in the hope that the spirits of the trees might be appeased and give them safe passage. While most of the book is made of two distinct narrative threads, there is a chapter in between where the author describes the journey of a pandemic, how the traveling and trading across the continents and oceans brings the deadly disease of bubonic plague to England. So much so that theatres regularly close due to plague season. Agnes is probably the most prominent character of the book. As a girl who grows up without a mother, protecting a younger brother, embracing the natural world over that of humans, she builds reputation as an eccentric by the time she grows up. The readers feel moved by the trials and tribulations facing her love life, her marriage, her getting used to the new family, and then bringing up her children while her husband lives away from home. Her brother Bartholomew is her true friend and support through all that life brings to her. The heart-rending grief of the parents when Hamnet is taken from them is bound to touch the reader's heart. That it is possible to comfort your daughters with assurances about places in heaven and eternal joy, and how they may all be united after death, and how he will be waiting for them, while not believing any of it. That people don't always know what to say to a woman whose child has just died. That some will cross the street to avoid her merely because of this. And there is also Hamnet, the bright young boy, who will only have 11 years on this earth. Hamnet's mind is quick. He has no trouble understanding the schoolmaster's lessons. He can grasp the logic and sense of what he is being told, and he can memorize readily, recalling verbs and grammar and tenses and rhetoric and numbers and calculation comes to him with an ease that can, on occasion, attract the envy of other boys. But his is a mind also easily distracted. He has a tendency to slip the bound of the real, tangible worlds around him and enter another place. In a way, the author does provide an explanation of why a father wrote a play after 4 years of his son's death, wherein the father is dead and the son is trying to journey through the grief. Is it what every parent would do? Take the place of their beloved child, die in their place, so the child can grow up to live a life and be remembered? To summarize, it is a brilliantly written journey of characters living life through sadness, pain, sorrow, and death to find solace and continue to be a family. ThinkerViews rating for the book is at around 7.5 stars out of 10. Please do let us know via comments if you enjoy reading historical fiction, and if there are any historical fiction books that you have enjoyed reading and would like us to read and review at ThinkerViews platform. Please hit the like button or subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying this podcast. And until the next time, thank you for listening.